Welcome back, everybody, to the next episode of Talkin' Lost. With Luke, we are well past the halfway point now. Season 1, episode 13, I want to say. Hearts and Minds. This is our first Boone backstory episode, and after, I would say, kind of a little bit of a kind of a stop in the road, we are fully back on track with the journey of the island. And we are joined today by a very special guest, somebody who may or may not be coming on the show more often. Another one of my various and assorted acting friends who I've pulled in over the last 2 years, Dora Finn's daughter. Welcome to Talkin' Lost.
Woo! Thank you. Honored to be here.
Yes, it's going to be a fun conversation to say the least. Luke, you have anything to say before we get this shindig started?
Only that I'm every week I become more of a lost head, and this is just a pinnacle of that so far.
Yes, diving down the rabbit hole indeed. This is Talkin' Lost. All right, guys. Season 1, episode 13. We are, well into this run right now, and we are back on the island moving at full steam. The one scene with Locke and Boone from last week's episode paid off because this time it is full-on digging up the hatch mode. We are fully into the hatch territory. We can mark this. We can celebrate this occasion because as longtime Lost fans know, the hatch was a source of mystery and intrigue for such a long period of time, especially given the gap of time between the end of Season 1 and the beginning of Season 2 with everything that they uncover. What's it called? Because, spoiler alert, they do get the hatch open, but then it's a matter of what's inside the hatch. So that's kind of what the centerpiece of this episode is. But, of course, Lindelof and his team, being the geniuses they were, of course, managed to make it more character-focused, as this ends up being sort of a semi-test that Locke conducts in order to kind of test Boone's loyalty, not necessarily to himself, but to the island. First and foremost, Luke, before we get this started, just what are your thoughts on where we are right now in our journey in discovering kind of what Lost is, I guess, at this point?
Yeah, we are. It's kind of 50-50 because some of the characters are just trying to make do, like make food, like Jin. I called it last episode. Jin was fishing the whole time. Sun is making her farm. Hurley is also trying to fish. But then there's the other people who are trying to figure out where they are, who they are with, your Sayids, your Boone and Locke. So yeah, I'm more interested in what the hell is going on the island, so I'm more invested in that. But it's a nice compliment to each other, those two halves of the island.
Yes, indeed. It is quite fascinating. And I like that this was, in addition to also having, to me, one of the most compelling island arcs and kind of backstories as well. That's kind of a little bit more shallow, but at least as far as one of the most compelling island arcs. And I also like how this episode was kind of a check-in with everybody else on the island. You know, there have been some characters we hadn't been seeing the last couple of weeks, some characters that kind of been sidelined, some that were kind of pulling maybe a little bit more focus. Not necessarily pointing to any recent episodes that we did, but yeah, I like how we kind of caught up with everybody. You know, we even got a little bit of Michael and Walt, who will be the focus of next week's episode when we wrap up November. And I like that because this is an ensemble show, and I like ensemble casts. They're one of the reasons why I love TV so much more than movies now, if I'm kind of being honest. But so, like I said, primary focus of this episode. Oh wait, real quick, Dora.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm so rude. I literally was about to go into the recap. I think I disregard you. I apologize for that.
No worries.
Dora, first time on the podcast.
Yes.
What were your thoughts just on this episode in general? And
Yeah.
as somebody who is also just dived into Lost headfirst.
Right. Yeah.
Give us your thoughts on just your journey so far.
The journey so far was intense because I dived deep in immediately and binged it a bit, and there was knitting involved, and it got crazy. But no, yeah, I think I like what you guys are talking about in terms of in this episode, in terms of kind of seeing everybody's kind of finding their place socially within the tribe, how they serve the tribe, and I like the one where Hurley kind of found his with making the golf course and stuff. I thought that was really smart. That like they're also coming in on the human needs, you know. First it was really survival based, you know, and it's becoming more and more like, okay, there are also social needs, and then there's like long-term planning, and it's like, okay.
Yes.
So I'm enjoying that a lot. And yeah, this episode was emotionally distressing and disturbing because of well, you'll go deeper into that in a little bit, I guess. But
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed,
Yes.
it was. Yeah, like I said, this episode is it's a little bit of a spiritual journey, if you will. Because basically, what's so interesting is you have Boone, who from the minute that we've met this guy has been kind of like the wannabe hero. Essentially, you have Jack, who was kind of so effortlessly filling that role, and then you have Boone, who kind of at first almost like was looking up to Jack, and then after a while was like trying to be Jack, and then it like the rest of the people were like, oh, you're trying a little bit too hard. So then he took a backseat. Now he's following Locke. So what it tells me about Boone is that Boone is desperately in need of a father figure, as somebody who was probably lacking in his life, because as it was, Boone's mother married Shannon's father. So Boone probably never really knew his father that well growing up. Also probably explains, you know, his relationship, his kind of protection for Shannon, obviously, as sort of like more of a maternal role as well. It's an interesting dynamic, to say the least, and it's another one again. Luke and I have been talking about this for weeks now, in terms of how really each of these backstories helps add so much context to these characters and who they really are. And it shows that, yeah, not everybody necessarily was the best, but everybody was kind of going through something different. And, you know, sometimes tragedy is not exactly it is different with certain sects of the populace. But what I do find interesting is how Boone is kind of being tested now on the island in a way that he kind of was not in the real world. Also, this episode is also notable to me for having the first interaction between two Islanders, Oceanic Flight 815 survivor members, in flashbacks before they got on the plane, as we see Sawyer being dragged into the police station where Boone is when he's trying to make the first official police statement against Shannon's abusive boyfriend. So
I missed that. Maybe I wasn't paying attention.
yeah, it's
yeah,
a quick
cool.
flicker you'll miss at moment, but
Yeah.
that's just a pretty notable moment. I believe it starts happening more frequently from here on out, but it might not be more this season. We might have to wait until season 2 and 3 for that.
I'm really excited about all that.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see how they're
Yeah, it's going to be
roll
interesting.
together.
It's going to be interesting, to say the least, because that's the other thing too. All of these characters were somehow connected before they got on the plane. It's actually kind of funny. But we're getting into that. So some quick subplots to get out of the way before we focus on the main plot. We've got Hurley running into Jin and asking Jin to teach him how to fish, and then he steps on a sea urchin, and then Jin basically whips up a cocktail in order to help him cure of any poison, which immediately causes Hurley to vomit. It's an attempted peace, which results in Jin giving Hurley a clean fish. What's it called? You got Kate discovering that Sun can speak English. I don't remember exactly the telltale sign, but Kate figures it out and then manages to get it out of her.
I think she laughs at something.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Thank you. You've also got Jack asking Charlie what his thoughts are on Locke, and also is revealed to be giving Charlie aspirin in order to help deal with his heroin withdrawal. No sign of Sawyer in this episode on the island, and I think that's it for major subplot. Oh, and then of course the thing that kicks it all off, Sayid and propositioning Shannon to continue to help him with the charts, and of course prompting Boone to be like, stay away from her. So, yeah. That's just what the sound that I imagined coming out of his mouth, even if he didn't actually say that.
Yes, and it's super intense eyebrows.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
He would, of course, Ian Somerhalder would famously go on to portray Damon Salvatore in the Vampire Diaries after the show.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
So right off the bat, people, what do we think of these all of these subplots before we get into the main plot? Luke, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the ensemble aspect of it, just like who's interacting with who and what kind of spark does that make. So you had Jin and Hurley, and you had Locke with like 3 different people in small instance with Jack and Sayid. That bit with the magnetic field, I'm sure we'll get back to that eventually. But yeah, it just continues to make the the island feel more lived in and make the characters feel more authentic. So it's just great.
Yeah.
Totally.
Dora,
Yeah.
your thoughts?
Yeah. Same. I really enjoyed the discovery between Kate and Sun, because I feel like that's also, I mean, yeah, female friendship hasn't been like huge on the island, and I'm like, if they team up, that might be interesting in some way. I don't know, but yeah,
TBD is all that
to
I'm gonna
BD.
say.
Yeah. Mhm.
TBD. But yeah, so obviously the main plot is basically kind of erupts from Locke and Boone heading to continue to dig up and investigate the hatch in order to try and figure out how to open it. And basically what we end up having is kind of a crisis of faith when Boone begins to question Locke's commitment to it and not wanting to tell the others, stating that they're not ready. And this, of course, begins Locke's so incredible habit of just remaining vague and ambiguous for the sake of being vague and ambiguous in terms of protecting the island. So, of course, he ends up getting out of Boone that Boone wants to tell Shannon in order to include her, because if there's one thing that this episode reveals, it's that he is very codependent on her. And basically Locke's like, okay, you want to do that? I got to teach you a lesson. And he knocks him out. He just completely knocks him out. Like, I believe that.
But he cleans him up afterwards, at least.
He does clean him up afterwards.
Yeah, with this papaya medicine.
Yeah, he
stuff.
also may have caused him to have a hallucinogenic trip as well.
Right.
That may have also happened. But yeah, so I mean, it's the best. Locke's the best. He's the absolute best character. He goes from being your best friend to your worst enemy. You don't know if he's gonna knock you out or give you some trippy life lesson. Honestly,
Yeah.
I love it. It's like you can't write a better character than that, honestly.
That's like, yeah. That's so true. Every time I'm like, because I'm so like on his team that I'm like suspicious of myself, you know. So I'm so excited when every time like Locke is interacting with anyone. So I'm like, hold it. He might just be fully crazy. This is the time where they're gonna flip it, and he's just gonna be nuts, and there's gonna be no payback. But yeah, thankfully not this episode.
Yeah. Not this episode, but
Not this episode.
It was still great. And also we got some great, like you were mentioning as well, Dora, we got some great Locke character interaction moments as well with Jack, with Sayid. The compass moment with Sayid, which also kind of also adds a little bit more to the island lore when Sayid is like, okay, like this is, you would think that's north and that's east and west based on the sun's direction, which means you know, north and south would be this way, but then the compass shows that that the island is a couple of degrees axis off, pointing out that possibly the island doesn't necessarily follow the same magnetic laws as the Earth. Maybe not.
I feel like there's a classic sci-fi plot to use. Like, oh, the magnetic field's off. It's like, old reliable, always works.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Hey, listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the classic rule in Hollywood movie and TV show writing. So, what's it called? So Boone, of course, meanwhile, wakes up hogtied to the point where it's like a strangling trap. Like if you try to get out of it, it's like gonna strangle him. But he hears Shannon screaming. He manages to. Locke, of course, tells him when he wakes up that when he is ready to get out, he'll find the motivation before leaving him there with the knife. And of course, then he hears Shannon screaming. He somehow manages to reach for the knife without strangling himself. It's a good thing that his name wasn't Brandon Stark, because if this was Game of Thrones, that would have killed him. Obviously, you know, that's a little deep dive for the Game of Thrones heads right there. And then he finds Shannon. They're tied up. They get chased by the smoke monster. They hide in a tree. They run. The smoke monster chases them.
We hadn't seen it in a while. I mean, we still haven't seen it, but it hadn't appeared.
Well, we saw a little bit more of it. There was actually like kind of an interesting shot where like you saw it like erupt up from the ground, and it was like
I rewound that a few times, but I couldn't make much of it.
Yeah. Or do we want to have the conversation about the smoke monster now, or do we want to save that for afterwards? Let's have it because I feel like it. Yeah, smoke monster. What do we? Well, because obviously I know what it is, but you two don't. So
you know what it is. Wow. Okay, I'm still on the train of like maybe it like fully just like doesn't exist. Maybe it's fully just like, you know, it's just like, you know, that thing from Harry Potter that would turn into your biggest fear.
The Dementor. Oh no,
like
the Bogger.
In Harry Potter 3. Yeah. I was thinking maybe it's something like that, but you know. I don't know. But then also, why is it like half mechanical, half animal? I'm like,
Yeah, it sounds
but,
like it has two big saw blades, like
Yeah.
just like. So
maybe.
I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah.
There are too many guesses I could make, but none of them would be right, I'm sure.
Well.
Yes, some kind of animal robot cyborg.
I imagine
Only-
it's like the spider from Wild Wild West, like a smaller version of that.
I'm just gonna take
I'm
this. I'm
excited.
just gonna take this whole clip of you two theorizing what the black smoke monster could be, and just like that's just gonna be a soundbite in and of itself. So thank you for that. Yeah, TBD on the smoke monster because again, I'm trying not to spoil exactly what it is, but we will find out all in due time. Obviously, Luke knows. Dora, I hope you know as well. This is gonna be a 2-year investment. It's a long investment.
Yeah. We better. Yep.
Yep, indeed it is. But with that being said, basically after Shannon is killed by the smoke monster, Boone finds his way back to the beach, immediately fights with Locke. He's like, "You killed her." He's like, "It killed her," and he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Shannon's been at the beach the whole time." And then he's like, "Why is
That
there no
shocked
blood
me.
on you?" Yeah, it's another classic switcheroo that Lost has become famous for and made very, very good use of in its first season. And I think Walkabout still holds the top spot, mostly because of how well they concealed that up until the end. But does this come close, if not surpass it, as far as classic switcheroos?
I mean, I don't know how I felt for you guys, but for me, I was like, she's not dead. I was like, there's no way. I don't think, I didn't, I appreciated sort of the emotional release of seeing her die. But,
Because Shannon's the worst.
I didn't believe it. Yeah, because she's the worst. She's just the worst. Yeah, I don't know how it was for you. But yeah, that's how
I don't know. I don't mind Shannon. She helps with the French as much as she can, which is not a lot, but it's still some. But I still don't know what extent the powers of the island and the smoke monster entail. So can they make you see things? They reach into your mind. The island can heal people. You've seen that, or something can heal Locke's legs. But this was, yeah. I was like, whoa. But then Boone said that he felt relieved, and that's more of a journey into his character and Locke's testing of him, Locke teaming up with the smoke monster, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's the
what
other
a
thing
duo.
that somebody, but that's the other thing that somebody points out in this episode as well is Locke is the only one that's actually seen the smoke monster face to face.
And we don't know what it showed him, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really smart. No, yeah, I think for me personally, the Walkabout one, that's the one where with Jack and his father, right?
No, that's White Rabbit.
No.
Walkabout is the first Locke
that's
episode.
Oh, it's the first. Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah. That was also
Yeah.
Yeah, we shall see, I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
It's exciting.
Yes, indeed, we shall see. Obviously, as we continue through on to next week's episode. Like I said, these episodes go by. They're fast. They're furious. They're fun. But hearts and minds. So ultimately, how do we feel about Boone? How do we think that how do we feel like has his journey towards completing the island? Because obviously, Locke has the conversation with him.
It's like a video game. You have to complete each level of the island.
Exactly. And now and now Boone is like a devout follower of Locke and the island, and they are gonna go and they are gonna figure out that hatch and what it is. Because they are led by the island. The island is very selective with who it chooses to carry out its tasks, is what I'm going to say.
I'm sure Boone will not be the last of Locke's disciples, as there's that scene with Charlie and Jack where they're talking about Charlie's like, hey, Locke's the only one who can really get us out of this. So I think there's some more sprinkles of what might come next. So
indeed.
And like you said, the man of science versus the man of faith. So
yes,
I'm looking forward to see that develop.
Yes, indeed. And that's the other thing too. The seeds of that are there in this episode as well, with the conversation with Jack and Locke when they're sitting on the beach. Because it's kind of like that source of tension. Because obviously, once Jack discovers kind of Locke's methods, he doesn't necessarily agree with them. So Oh, man. Yeah, good episode. Really, really, really good episode. We're back on track. Next week, like I said, we've got a Michael-focused backstory next week. We're getting his only one this season, but it's going to be fun. Dora, your first time on the podcast. Congratulations. Dora, you've been doing a lot this week. You've been doing some stand-up. You've been podcasting. You've been doing it all, man. How do you feel?
I feel excellent. Hold on, wait. This I caught only the end of it. The sound went out. I just.
Oh no, we're losing the connection.
She might have set up connection on the island.
Oh no, there we go.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I mean, it's been. Yeah, wait. What did you say?
Oh no, you go.
Okay. Yeah, no, yeah, it's been really fun. Yeah, exploring new realms, imaginally, and out here in the city, I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I would not be watching Lost if it weren't for you, Dom. So this is very interesting to jump into this.
Yes.
Well, I don't think it would have naturally come my way randomly.
Yes.
So I appreciate it.
Well, it's been awesome having you on, Dora. If you have any social medias that you would like to plug on here.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm at Instagram, Dora Fins, and I think that's it.
Yes, Dora Fins. We're gonna work with that. That's gonna do wonders for you. You're gonna go far, is what I'm gonna say. Luke, as always, like I said, a fast episode, but a worthwhile one.
Yeah, I feel like we make more out of the not so great ones. We just find ways to make them better. With the great ones, it's just like great. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. It's like, what else can we really say, honestly? So, yeah. So, Luke, how are those end of the year lists going?
Gladiator 2 has entered the top 10.
All right.
Just about. It's basically the first one again, but not as good. With better effects, because it's like the budget's probably 6 times bigger.
Right.
Yeah. And Arcane is the best thing ever.
Arcane is the best thing ever. It's so good.
Like I'm watching, like when you film something, you're like, hey, okay, move. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, they have to move it manually, everything. But it's animated and it looks amazing. Characters are off. And only 3 more episodes, so it should be great.
It's so sad. I purposefully saved them so I could watch each episode during a day of the week, because I'm like, I need time to process this, because
So you've not watched the last 3?
Not yet.
Oh man.
Yeah.
They're good.
It's really good from what I've seen. It's like, shit. I know I said nothing was beating Shogun, but that was before I saw this.
Dora, have you seen Arcane?
I haven't seen any of it. I only watched the trailer because Dom sent it. Yeah. But looks really cool, and aesthetically stunning. Yeah.
Yes. It's
just art.
It might be the best thing ever made. It might be the best thing ever made. I can't believe I'm saying that. It might be the best thing ever made. Certainly one of, if not the best animated thing ever made. It is that good. But Luke, what's it called? Any more top 10 info you can share with us before as far as how those are coming down?
I still have some things to watch. So, like The Brutalist, we're not getting that, so I don't think that's gonna make it in, and some other awards movies. But either way, there's enough fun movies that I can make good segments out of. So
yes,
look reviews on YouTube.
Yes,
I already made the thumbnail with Dune in it.
All right, now we're talking. And of course, guys, you know what to do. Follow me at Movie Nerd Reviews, at Official Talkin TV, podcast across all platforms. Subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. This episode will be available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And as always, for myself, from Luke, and from Dora, welcome to the show. Welcome to the circus. 12 seasons in a short film, and watch more fucking movies. And in this case, Lost. We'll see you guys next week.